Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice.
The Zanna way.
Don't trade on us, the Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration, chambered in 223 Wild that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499, made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Tread on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD Don't Tread on Us, free ebook How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30 rounds magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port Don't Trade on Us for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and also on 104.1 FM. And don't forget also, if you want to listen on the internet, go to lovegunsfreedom.com. This is the second hour, the hour about guns. As you know, as I said many times, the gun, the rifle, the firearm in general is just a tool. It is an extension of your body to try to defend your life, defend your liberty. That's what it is. The real situation here, that you, your brain, your heart, your body is the real weapon. I said the good thing though about a gun or a firearm in general, it is called the great equalizer. What does it mean? That, when you have, for example, a person that could be, let's say, in a physical disadvantage, like maybe sometimes women, sometimes, I know women that they're better than men when it comes down to defend themselves. But in general, a woman normally it's less stronger than a man or an older person. To have a firearm, that what exactly means to have a great equalizer. You put everything in the same level because, I don't care if you're like 100 pounds lady, when you have a handgun and you know how to use it, you can stop even a 300 pounds, criminal out there. So that's what I meant. But this hour, most important, it is not just about guns. It is how to create a mindset to, avoid to become a victim. Also to learn, the most important thing is called awareness, to avoid the situation that you can, maybe have to face, the sort of violent confrontation. So that's the purpose. Of course, we'll talk also about guns, but the most important thing is how to avoid that violent act. Because at the end of the day, if you didn't see it coming, you weren't that good. You want to be sure that at least you were aware, but sometimes you can't. Now, I've been talking the last couple of weeks about this NRA new certification that I achieved. It's called Refuse to be a Victim Instructor. And it's pretty much a program not about guns, but how to avoid to become a victim. And that applies to everybody out there. Today I would like to bring a guest, a lady that she's been one of my first listeners, I guess. And she's also been on Facebook many years, at least a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, being in touch, and I know a little bit about her. And she's been asking me, say, look, I would like to be on the show. I would like to share a very disturbing story. And this is a story that maybe many other women may have had this sad experience when somebody tried to kill you. Not many people, but I know that many people out there, especially ladies, they face violence more than men sometimes. So the idea is to try to listen and learn from her experience and maybe how we can avoid to find ourselves in that situation. Okay? I don't want to call myself an expert, but guess what? I think right now I should, after all this certificate that I got. So at least I would like to give you my 2 cents opinion, how to avoid to become a victim. And in this case, especially if you're a lady. So if you're a woman, a lady, please listen up. Even if you don't have a gun, if you hate guns, that's fine. This is not just about guns. This is about how to become let's say, more aware of your environment and avoid the situation. Now, let me shut up. Let me bring Cheryl from Pennsylvania, and let's bring her on. Cheryl, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Hi.
Very good. Nice to talk to you again. And let's go straight to the story, Cheryl. Tell us a little bit, first of all, exactly in your words, what happened to you, when happened, and give us some details, okay? I know this is a sad story. Hopefully it doesn't bring you back bad memories, but I appreciate it sharing it with us so maybe other women out there can listen and maybe can learn how to avoid such a situation. So give us the story. I give you the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, this story took place when I was living in Philadelphia. I was going to school at St. Joseph's University. I was working at Episcopal Hospital, and I was living in South Philly. I had moved to South Philly because I was burglarized in Center City. So I was looking for somewhere safe to move to. And before I get to my story where this guy actually followed me home, pushed his way into my apartment and tried to kill me, I want to give some quick stats really fast. Every 24 minutes, a woman is murdered. Every 5 minutes, a woman is raped. Every 2.5 minutes, a sexual assault takes place against a woman.
Wow.
Every 54 seconds, a woman is robbed, and every 24 seconds, an assault takes place against a woman. Just in the United States, in the next hour, 900 thefts will take place against a woman, 189 violent crimes against a woman, 124 assaults against a woman, 24 sexual assaults, and 12 women will be raped. The average woman, like you said, is not as strong as a man. So women are starting to take up firearms. In 2005, it was 13%. 2011, 23%. And then in 2014, 20 million women had taken up firearms.
I'm just curious. Cheryl, 1 second only. I'm curious. You seem like you're very prepared. Where did you get these statistics? From which source?
Oh, I got it from YouTube.
Okay.
It was a thing about violence against women. I wanted to go over real quick before I get into my story the charges that were brought against him. I'll just use his first name because he is out of prison and he is on Facebook, so I'm just using his first name. The charges that were brought against Michael was simple assault, aggravated assault, attempted rape, indecent assault, unlawful restraint, recklessly endangering another person. I had argued and fought with Shelley New, the assistant DA, that I wanted attempted murder. I wouldn't get. They didn't give it to me. But at any rate, this is my story. A lot of times I would be late coming home from St. Joe's because I was involved in extracurricular activities, and this particular night was one of those cases. I guess it was like 11:30. And anybody that lives in South Philly knows that more people own vehicles than there are parking spaces. So they double park on streets, and even on Broad Street, you'll see like two right up in the middle of Broad Street. That night, I was coming down Broad, and I lived on Porter, and right below Porter on Broad, there was a parking spot against the curb. So I took it. I thought, oh, my lucky night. And after I parked and I got out, little did I know that a couple of cars down from me, this guy named Michael had parked in front of a funeral home, and the funeral director came out and told him to move it. He had a funeral the next day, and Michael refused. Instead, he started following me. Well, I mean, I thought somebody was behind me, and I turned around and I saw him, and I thought, well, I don't own Broad Street, and he may live around here. He may be going to the bar right there at Broad and Porter. So I kept walking. And when I got to Porter, I turned on to Porter, and I went right past the bar, the door to the bar entrance, and I turned around, and he was still following me. And I said, all right, I guess he's not going to the bar. And I said to him, are you following me? And I thought he'd say, no, I live down something, because I don't know everybody in that neighborhood. Instead, he said, yes. And I said, why? He said, because I want to use your bathroom. I said, I don't even know you're not using my bathroom. I said, go in and use the one in the bar. And I thought that would be it. He would go use the one in the bar. Now, I should have probably went in the bar, but he was right at the entrance. So I would have had to get past him. And I was tired. I wanted to go home and go to sleep. And I kept walking. And he kept following. And I started going faster, and he started going faster. And then I broke into a run, and he started running. And I finally came to my apartment building, which was really an old house that had been converted to 3 apartments. Mine was on the bottom floor. I ran up the steps, had my key out, put the key in a doorknob, went to turn the doorknob, and he came up behind and pushed the door, and we both went flying through and landed on my living room floor. And I had to wrestle with him. I got away, and I thought, do I go back out into the hallway? There's the other 2 apartments aren't occupied right now, and he'll get me probably before I get outside. So I thought, well, my phone is in my bedroom. I have to get through the kitchen and get to it. So I started running towards the bedroom. He got me in the kitchen. We wrestled. And I got away again. And I thought, now I'm finally in the bedroom. I can get that phone. I was just ready to pick up that phone and call the police. He grabbed me. And Luca, this is 100% true.
Wow.
He grabbed me. He threw me down the bed. He got on top of me. And he took the white blanket that I had laying on my bed, and he started stuffing it down my throat.
Oh, my gosh. This is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but did you scream? Anybody in that building?
No, I couldn't.
Of course,
blanket in my throat.
I mean,
and I kept thinking thoughts like, you always wonder how you're going to die. You always wonder what day it's going to be.
Yeah.
So this is it. I'm going to die tonight, and it's going to be murder.
Wow.
And then I thought, this, and you said I can say this word, this sick bastard, what did I do to him to do this to me?
No, I mean, listen, you could say every word you want. Unfortunately, we are on the radio and we have some limitation with the FCC, but I understand the rage and the terrible moment of unfortunately, not many people has to face that. This is like death or life, and it's unfortunately not even a quick death.
Yeah.
Could be a death after torture, even worse, and rape, for God's sake.
I felt a blanket going down further into my esophagus, and I thought, this is it, I'm dying. And I remember thinking, God, please help me. And all of a sudden, I don't know if he put too much blanket in, that was a gag reflex or what, but my teeth came down, and I bit him.
Wow.
And again,
I was going to
he jumped
say.
off of me and he said something. Yeah.
I'm glad that I was thinking the first thing I would be using my teeth. If we could beat him. Did you have a chance to give him a good bite?
Oh, I did. He was bleeding. He jumped off of me screaming. And again, this is a direct quote from him. He screamed, "You, can I say the word? You bitch, you bit me."
Yeah, I mean that's the minimum. That's like a candy compared to what he deserves. Somebody like him. So listen.
Well, I tried to pull the blanket out of my throat.
Yeah.
And I eventually got it out, and I grabbed the phone and I dialed 911, and then I got my voice back, and I said, "You sick bastard, get the hell out of my apartment! I just called the police, and they're on their way."
Wow.
And he looked up at me, and then he ran. But when he got out to Broad Street, the police were there because the funeral director had called the police because he wouldn't move his car. And they arrested him. And he backed up my story, the funeral director, because he saw him following me. So anyways, I started having nightmares every night. And even though I couldn't get to sleep, and I had to go to work. But his wife, I guess, had the luxury of staying home. So she came over to see me the one day, and I was at work, and my landlord talked to her, and he said, "Cheryl, I have to tell you, she looks just like you." And he said, "She told me that night that she and Michael had a big fight, and she felt he took it out on you for her." Then next was the hearing. I had to go through a hearing before to even go to court. And Shelley New and Ed Rendell were in charge of this circus. I mean, they tried to make it look legit. They had NOW there. You know what NOW is, Luca? The National Organization of Women.
Mm-hmm.
They had them there. I don't remember how many. There was a lot of them. And at one point, and I was escorted by some of my friends from St. Joe's, muscular guys that said, if he touches you again, we'll take care of him. The judge said at one point, I don't know if a blanket could be considered a weapon.
What?
And these ladies from now all jumped up screaming, "What?" And he said, on second thought, it can be this case is going to court. Now my Shelley New nightmare started. That was December, Luca, to April. That lady would call me every morning, noon, and night.
Wow.
And she would say things like, "Good morning, Cheryl. How are you doing? This is Shelley. I know you must be nervous. You don't want to go through this case because you're going to be nervous in court, and there's too much stress. Why don't you just drop the charges?" And I would say the same thing every time she called. "No, Shelley. The man tried to kill me. I'm not dropping the charges. I don't want him to walk to do this to me or to any other woman out there." And she would call at noon. "Hi, Cheryl. At my job." And she'd say, "Hi, Cheryl. Did you have time to think about what we talked about this morning?" "No, Shelley. I'm at my job. I'm working. I'm not thinking about that. I'm not dropping the charges." And then in the evening, how you had all day to think about it. "What do you think? You're dropping the charge?" Well, she kept doing this, and then finally, I got a love letter from Ed Rendell saying, "Cheryl, why are you so stubborn and persistent? Why won't you drop these charges? All you're going to do is have a lot of stress and a possible nervous breakdown." You got to listen to this next part. And Michael, on the other hand, is not going to get anything because he is white. His wife's family has a lot of money. He never did this before, and he goes to temple. And I stared at it, and I crunched, and I threw that letter. And I wonder if his friends would like to see that letter today. I should have kept it. When he said, well, because the man's white and all that kind of stuff. You know, it was ridiculous.
So let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. I want to be sure I got it down. So after this attack, this assault that you had into your place, the man was able to, the bastard was able to somehow force himself into your apartment, correct? And
right.
And bottom line, did he try to sexually assault you? That's also another part I didn't really understand. There was besides trying to shove stuff in your mouth and killing you.
That was the interesting thing. I'll get that to you at the courthouse. But with the court case, no, he didn't. I wanted attempted murder because that's what he was doing.
Yeah. So there was was attempted murder, but there was not even. It wasn't like try to rape you at the same time. Was it doing that too, or just attempted murder?
Well, he brings that out when the case was finally dropped. He said he only wanted to have sex with me, even if it meant rape. I think, and I'll get to that. I think he plea bargained for lesser penalties.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. So, I mean, even if you rape a woman, out and out rape him, you're lucky if you get 5. And attempted, he probably wouldn't have got a thing. So at the end, I looked up these charges, and he wouldn't have got hardly anything.
Yeah.
But at any rate,
Question: Did you meet him before? You were some sort of an acquaintance. You were like some sort of
no.
Never met him before. It was the first time out of the blue.
Yes.
Am I right? Wow.
Right.
So that's
right.
not even like
right.
some sort of.
And maybe it was because I looked like his wife. He was going to kill me. I don't know. But at any rate, as the days went on and got closer to April when the case was supposed to go to court,
yeah,
Shelley would keep calling, and she'd say, then finally she got to call me and she said, "Cheryl, I'm a very patient person, but you're making me lose my patience." And she said, "Drop these charges already." And I said, "Shelley, I told you I'm not dropping them." And again, then she got nastier, and she said, would call, and I would just say, "Shelley, I'm not dropping them," click. And then I would say, click. I wouldn't even say anything. And then finally, the one day she called, she goes, it's really getting close to the case now, it's going to court. And she said, "Cheryl, I have a plan. Listen to me out. Don't hang up on me." Now, this lady was supposed to be representing me. It was a joke. And I said, "Go ahead." She said, "How about if I type up a letter that you wrote to me saying that you would like to drop these charges and not go to court if Michael would apologize to you."
Apologize. Wow.
Apologize. Yeah. And see a psychiatrist and promise never to see you again. And I said, "Shelley, I'm not signing it." She called me a few days later and she goes, "I have the letter all ready for you to sign." And I said, "I told you I'm not coming to sign that."
Wow.
And then finally the last day she called, she said, "You get over here and sign this damn letter. It's almost going to court." And I said, Shelley, I have something to tell you. For the last 4 months, you've harassed me. And I said, I'm not scared to go to court. I'm not scared. But I'll tell you, I might be a little scared to see the man try to kill me. I said, but you know who scares me more? You. You have harassed me every single day for the last 4 months, three times a day. And I said, I am tired of listening to you. I don't even want to hear your name. I don't I just want to get you out of my life. And you know what? As much as I don't want to see him out there walking around, I don't want to even bother with you anymore. I want to get you out of my life. I said, I'll sign the damn letter. But you know what, Luca? It wasn't a letter. It was a standard form. And she filled in all the blanks. And then, they asked questions like, how much schooling you have? Do you speak English? Are you on drugs or are you an alcoholic? Do you have mental illness? And do you realize if you drop this that you'll never be able to open it? And then at the bottom was a nice little paragraph that said, do you realize that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and Shelley New was willing to take your case to court, but you dropped it because of your emotions and stress and that you couldn't face the court? I stood there when the judge was reading it, and the tears rolled down my face. I thought, such corruption. And I couldn't even say yes. I just nodded.
Wow.
And then he said, did anybody force you? And I just stared at the judge, and then finally I just nodded no. Then it was Michael's turn, and he gets up and the apology was like an apology from Michael to Michael. Mm-hmm. He said, oh, I may have been a little, my actions might not have been as honorable that night. But he said, you know what, I've suffered so much pain, and I, will live with this the rest of my life. And I looked at him like, was this a picnic for me? I didn't even ask for it.
Wow. Now he's the victim. You're right. You know what is really disturbing me is, for what you tell me, the wife defending him when, she knows for sure that best case scenario, that bastard was in another woman's bedroom, at least home or apartment, and a place that anyway supposed not to be right there. This woman, I think, is sicker or as sick as the guy is, because something is really not normal, especially if she knows that I think she believes that she knows that the man is not exactly, not, forget about being a saint. This guy, he was trying to kill somebody. He was trying to use violence on you. So this woman, I tell you, is a psychotic. What's her problem? Seriously, what is her problem?
Well, I don't know, but she was sick too because he did this again. But I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Then he said to the court, he says, I would like to add something for the records. And the judge said, go ahead. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, my facts according to that night are different than Cheryl's. I wasn't actually going to rape her. I just wanted to have sex with her, and when she didn't want to cooperate, I wanted to rape her.
Wow.
And I looked at him and I said, you sick bastard. When were you going to do that? When I was dead?
Wow. And he said that...
And the judge says, okay, Michael, you're seeing a psychiatrist. You are never to call her at her house where she works. You are never to follow her, stand outside her apartment or where she works. And Michael agreed to it all, signed a paper, and the next day he was stalking me.
Wow.
I don't think he was a psychiatrist either. And one day I was on the Frankfurt L. People in Philadelphia knows what that is. It's like a big long train. It's on tracks and up around Frankfurt. It's up in the sky, almost as even to some of the rooftops. And then as it comes into Center City, it goes down under the gallery, the mall, and you're, like a tunnel type thing. And then when you come out in West Philly, you're even with the outside ground. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I was going and he knew my schedule. I don't know how he knew it.
Wow.
He was going from car to car. When when it would stop, I would get off, go to another car because I didn't want to see him. And he kept following me. Finally, I got to this one car. I sat down beside this one gentleman, and he said, my God, what's going on? You're out of breath. And I said, you see that guy over there? He said, yeah. I said, a couple of months ago, he tried to kill me, stuffed a blanket down my throat, and Sally knew, and Ed Rendell harassed me till I dropped the charges. He was supposed to see a psychiatrist. He was never to see me again, but now he's stalking me and following me. And that guy said, my God, he's going to kill you. He said, I am the manager of the Spring Garden Shooting Range, and I will give you unlimited free lessons. You come and I will help you. And I did. And he spent every moment. He took no breaks, no lunch hour, nothing. And he helped me get the pro marksman.
Wow, that's
Meanwhile,
pretty amazing though. I mean, nice that you found somebody at least give you the opportunity to have, as I said, a tool to at least have a chance, because the point is normally a woman against a man, unless you have a great physical training and martial arts, things like that, it's always disadvantage. But at least with a firearm, you have a chance. It's called the great equalizer for a reason. Now, how ended up this bastard? Did he finally go to jail?
well, that's the rest of my story.
Go ahead.
At any rate, I started calling Shelley, giving her a taste of her own medicine every morning, noon and night, and she wouldn't answer the phone, so I left messages. And I said, Shelley, you know how you and Ed Rendell, you called me and harassed me for 4 months to drop those charges against Michael. You told me he'd never see me again and he would see a psychiatrist. I said, I don't know about the psychiatrist part, but he is stalking me. He's following me everywhere. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't stop, I am going to go to the judge and tell him that you and Ed Rendell forced me into signing that paper. Well, it didn't happen right away, but eventually he stopped following me. And then I moved to Andalusia, which was right outside of Philadelphia, and I thought, oh, this is probably a safe neighborhood. Right around the corner from me, Franklin Royal Medical Center, nurses were coming out and getting attacked and raped. And there was like, I think 6 or 8 of them. And then one day I turned on TV, and there's Fast Eddie Rendell. And he said, laughing and giggling, he said, I knew who it was all along. I just had to catch him and see him doing it. And I turned to TV, I thought, what a pervert. He let all those women get attacked and raped because he knew who it was. So then the one day this is like a year later now, I'm at my job, and I get a phone call, and the guy said he was a lawyer. Could I help him and his client? And I said, well, how? And he said, do you know Michael? And he said his last name, and I said, how could I ever forget him? And he said, do you remember what he did to you? And I said, yeah, he tried to kill me by stuffing a blanket down my throat. My own blanket, by the way. And he said, well, he said he did it again. I said, oh, no. I started crying because, I didn't want that to happen.
Wow.
And he said, will you help her? I said, yes. So I said, how? He said, well, I'm going to do a phone deposition. And I said, do I have to go to court after that? He said, no, I wouldn't do that to you. That's why we're doing it on the phone. So he said, I'm going to start recording. We did the phone deposition, and then when I finished, he said, now, Cheryl, you dropped those charges. I said, yes, I did. He said, was anybody forcing you? And that's when Luca, you would have been proud of me at that moment. I said, yes. He said, who? I said, Shelley knew and Ed Rendell. And he said, I knew it, thank you. And he said, is there anything you want to ask me or tell me? And I said, yes, tell that judge to put that sick bastard away for life so he doesn't do this to any more women. And he said, you just did. I'm still recording. And I said, get him for me and your client. He said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Well, a year later, it was a year later or 2 years, I was on the computer, and I saw that he did go to prison. I don't know what kind of sentence he got. But at any rate, he's out now. So probably wasn't very much. But then another day, I was at work, and I would always listen to WWDB. It was a talk radio station at that time. It was very popular along the Northeast coast. I mean, people from various states, from New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Delaware and Maryland, all those states would hear him. And Irv Homer was very popular. And he said, I have Ed Rendell on today. Does anybody want to call and talk to him? So Luca, I dialed the number, and I got through. And he said, you're on Irv Homer Show. Do you want to talk to Mr. Rendell? I said, yes, I do. And he said, go ahead. And I said, Mr. Rendell, and I said, do you remember me? I said my name. And he said, nothing. Liberals say crickets. Well, that's what it was, crickets, nothing. And I said, let me refresh your memory. So I told my story, and I said, Mr. Rendell, tell me something. How much were you paid to sell me down the river? He didn't answer. And then I said, let me tell you something else. That after you harassed me to drop those charges, Michael followed me. He stalked me. And a year later, he did it to another woman. Are you proud of yourself, Mr. Rendell? And I said, let's not forget the nurses. You let, what was it, Mr. Rendell, 6 or 8 women get raped because you wanted to see him doing it? I said, you have ruined 8 or 10 women's lives, Mr. Rendell. Do you hate women, do you? And he never, the whole time did he say a word. And then Irv says, thank you for your call. I then moved from Andalusia down to southern Chester County. And I thought I was safe there. It was in the country. And they didn't have any shooting ranges, so I stopped shooting. But I had a Rottweiler, and he pretty much kept people away. When he died, I started getting break-ins. My house has 2 high bedroom windows and 1 low. The low one you can, get in my garden, you can come right through. And the first one was in that window. The guy came in, he just ransacked the whole house, and my cat was petrified when I came home. And he was on his way out when he heard me and dropped the jewelry he was stealing and left the window open and the door open. It was December. So the police came over and they did a few little brushes and they said, no, we can't get any fingerprints. They didn't do anything. The second time I was laying on my sofa, I fell asleep, and somebody came through my kitchen window. And I guess they saw me. They went out my sliding door, left the window and the sliding door open. The third time was in 2014. I was getting these phone calls late at night. The guy would call me and say, Cheryl, are you alone? Do you want me to come over? I know you want me to come over. And
Wow.
I slammed the phone down, and I tried to pick it up to call the police. He was on there laughing and giggling. I'm still here. And the police, again, I gave all the phone numbers. They did nothing. Then a few weeks after that, my window in one of the high bedrooms, you can't get this from outside in the ground, was broken on the inside. Not the outside, the inside. And I thought it might have happened a Friday night when I heard somebody in that bedroom. I was sleeping in the low bedroom. And the next day I went over, and the window was broke. And police came, and they said, oh, a branch probably did it. I said, yeah, and it didn't break the outside window, but just the inside window. Well, you might have done it yourself. You might have slammed it down and didn't realize it. So, I mean, that's the way these police around here are. Then my final story was a final thing that happened. I was sleeping in the low bedroom, and something woke me up. And I looked up, and there was flashlight going up and down my window. And I said, oh, my God. I called 911 quick and put on my light. And by the time they got there, the cop says, you need a new screen. It's all ripped. I think a bird did that. I said, oh, gee whiz.
Wow.
I said, how about the bird that had his flashlight going up and down my window? He said, that was probably a deer spotter. So my point of all this is women are getting attacked, they're getting assaulted, raped, killed more than ever today. The police aren't really helping. The court system can be crooked like mine was, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Women need to protect themselves, Luca, like you said.
Yeah. Let me say a couple of things. This is I'm glad first of all that so far, you were lucky. You made it through. You were able to survive this violent encounter. And let's see exactly how, because this is important. I think maybe you didn't know what you were doing, but you did the right thing. You fought back. What I understand, the moment that you start to bite, with your teeth, the bastard, at that point, you are in more the little lamb ready for the final slaughter. No, you fought back and you tried to put out everything you could. And I think that point, that aggressor, he didn't see it, because the point is right now, for example, there used to be the old school a few years ago, that when somebody tried to catch you, let's say tried to use violence on you, don't resist. Just do whatever they tell you, and probably everything's gonna be okay. Guess what? That type of philosophy proved that it was a disaster. And the moment that you exactly comply, pretty soon not only you're gonna get raped, but also you will get killed probably very soon. So now the law enforcement, they say, no, fight back every time you can. Of course, every time you have a chance to fight back. If somebody's pointing a gun at your face and you don't have the training to let's say disarm that aggressor, don't be a hero. Wait for the right occasion, the right timing. So, but the point is, what you did, in my opinion, you were able to fight back, and the fact that you beat him with your teeth, and the bleeding part of his part, inside, you were able to almost change the cars. And he's, he's a coward after all. He's trying to prey on women. But the moment that he saw that the woman was any more just a woman, but was also a fighter, his world was shocked for a moment. And he gave you the opportunity to get out and somehow ask for help. Don't you think that exactly what saved you that day? What do you think?
Yes. And Luca, what charges would you have given him? Attempted murder, right?
Well, somebody tried to shout.
What attempted murder is. It's 10 to life.
Yeah.
All those other charges are nothings.
I agree, Lisa.
Even if you just rape a woman, not attempted, you're lucky if you get 5.
I know. I mean, the fact that somebody's trying to shove something in your mouth, he can't breathe, that's not exactly like a love, I don't know, message or, that's not anything with love. That's somebody's trying to kill you. As simple as that. I agree.
And Luca, do you think, and this is what I always thought all along, that Michael's in-laws, who had a lot of money, were paying off the DA's office in Philadelphia? I mean, why would they go through 4 months of harassing me like that? I think they were getting paid to have me drop the charges.
No, at least I understand that something very wrong is going on with the judicial system, and also the fact that this person,
Are you there?
the wife, was allowed to harass you and try to manipulate you and try to intimidate you to do what I think was the right thing to do. I mean, to press charge on somebody like that, it's a duty. It's not just something that you're doing for yourself. As you said before, you try to do also for other people.
And he did it again. He did it again.
Yeah, so it's very important. I'm glad that, at least you try everything you could. That's my bottom line. But remember...
Now, when they gave him these lesser charges, is that a way of them plea bargaining so that if he does get guilty, he doesn't get any time or very little time?
Well, as
I mean, some of them it's only fines.
Listen,
one.
The point is, he may have a good lawyer, influences in town or in the area, and money, of course, can create better justice for them. It's true, when you have a good lawyer, you may always negotiate a better situation, because after all, let's be straight. It was you and him in that room, okay? You didn't have any witnesses. And the prosecutor knows that, of course, the guy, for what you told me, he said enough things that pretty much were could be self-incriminating. But at the end of the day, something to prove like a murder, something to prove like an assault or a sexual, harassment or anything completely. It's not easy when you have no witnesses. And it's just your word against his word, and then he has a great lawyer behind and maybe a bunch of money to spread around. So, as I said, justice, unfortunately, is not for justice. Justice is always a compromise, and unfortunately, many times we are not happy with the compromise. So, I'm sorry that he didn't get what he deserved the first time.
Well, Luca, if Ed Rendell tries to run for president, I hope people remember this. He let how many women get hurt? He's not a champion of women. He gets on MSNBC and he says he's champion of women. I mean, and he gets on Fox, the same thing. He is not. He hates women. He's done so much dirt to women.
Who is this guy? Who is this person?
Ed Rendell.
Okay, I see. But at least,
Uh,
as I
no,
said, I don't know
Irv
about the
Homer
guy.
did-
I don't know
Irv
about the
Homer
guy.
didn't like him. He called him Fast Daddy.
I don't know this guy. All I know that the specific situation with you, for what you told me, and also you sent me some documents that prove pretty much all the case. I always ask, to verify everything, but even, of course, we are not mentioning last names here still. It's a serious matter. Now, what I would like to say is this, the story is dramatic, and even right now, of course, I'm glad at least you had an happy handy. You made it alive. The point is what we can learn from this. That's the bottom line. How can we avoid to be in this situation? Let's just examine since all this started it. This guy followed you, right? And he followed
Yeah.
you to your apartment. Now,
Right.
he was able to put somehow a foot between the door. Am I right or wrong? I mean, he forced himself in. Am I right or wrong?
When what had happened was he came up behind me and he pushed against the door.
Exactly.
I had put the key in, was turning the knob.
Okay.
So all I needed was the extra push.
So let's learn the first thing, awareness. When you are, no matter if you're alone or with people. I know we are not Spider-Man. We don't have eyes behind your head. But guess what? You better start to develop that type of awareness. So when you walk, no matter with whom, no matter where, always be able to scan your environment, especially if you're by yourself. So that's the first thing I would like to say, especially when you come back home. You come back home, that's exactly the place that people want to know, the bad people want to know where you are, and they will try to force in themselves. So the first thing, awareness. Don't just keep going straight and let's say hopefully nobody's gonna follow me. No. If you had to stop for a second with an excuse to check the hour or check something out there, turn around, look around. At that point, the first thing is somebody's getting too close to you. Two options. Or you run, and you run fast if you can make it. Or the second thing, you will start to make so much noise and say, with your hands completely open, and scream at him, stay away. I don't want to be talking to you. I don't want to talk to you. And hopefully at that point, when you do that, because you're having witnesses around you. But if you have no witnesses, if you're in a desert place, let's say deserted place, just run. Now, that's the first thing, the level of awareness I've been talking on my show, the color of awareness, it's vital. No matter if you carry a gun or not. Even if you were carrying a gun that day, if you didn't see it coming, the gun wasn't good at all. You never would have a chance to even have access to that gun. So awareness is the first real self-defense weapon. And it doesn't mean that you need to be paranoid, but you need to be able always to be in control of your surrounding 360 degrees. Number one. Number two, if somebody's following you home and you don't know that person and you have a bad vibe, your instinct probably is right. Don't go straight back home. Don't show him where you're living. At that point, call a cab. Or maybe, if you're driving, drive straight to the police station or drive around and give him a chance to see if he's really following you or not. Because the last thing you want to a criminal or, let's say, predator to know where you are. Because he may not get you today, he may come back tomorrow. So that's very important. So right there, of course, you're a human being and, unfortunately this information is not always available out there. And sometimes we just get relaxed. It's tired. We are late at night. But something we cannot do these mistakes. You always look around. Scan your environment. If you could have seen the bastard, probably at least 100 yards. And at that point, you had a chance to make a plan. Run faster or start to scream for attention. What do you think? If you were able to see him coming, you probably would have had a chance to avoid him. Don't you think?
Well, I did see him. I just figured he lived in the neighborhood or he was going to the bar.
I'm talking about just charging you, following you close behind when you were going back home. I'm not saying just see him in the neighborhood.
Well, I would have had to wake up people. It was all homes around there.
Fine. Wake
And
up everybody.
I thought about that, but at that hour, that wasn't right to go waking all those people up, so I didn't do that.
Listen,
I chose to run.
Somebody's trying to kill you. You wake up the Pope if you have to. Who cares? Okay, seriously. If somebody's trying to kill you, the last thing you're concerned that you're waking up somebody. And so the people will say, don't worry about it, lady. This is more than understandable, the situation, okay? So just my little 2 cents. So my point is how to avoid it. Be aware of your surrounding, and I will post again. I will probably should do again another short reviews of the color of awareness next the next Sunday show, because I think probably this is the most important self-defense type of mindset you can create to see when a problem is coming. Then, of course, when you were in the house and the aggressor was on you, you fought back, as I said. You had a chance to at least shock him for a moment, and then at that point you took the advantage to call for help. Now, when the police came, how fast before they came?
Well, faster than the ones around here, but it wasn't really fast. I mean, they were busy on Broad Street with him.
All right. Meanwhile, you were
but
done.
they're the ones who talked me into pressing charges.
Yeah. How fast before they came? How long? 10 minutes, for 30 minutes, an hour?
10, 15 minutes.
15 minutes,
like that.
It's a decent time for a big city, but at the same time, in 15 minutes, he could have killed you 10 times and make you resuscitate 10 times, okay? That's the point. Police, you call them after when the accident or the aggression is already over, and that's not good enough. They think, I'm at the point you should have in your home, in a strategic place. First of all, the best way would be always have it on you. If you're able to carry a gun, somebody at that point is trying to attack you, and you have a chance to being able to deploy that gun, that would be the first thing. But even if you had at least in the house, in a secret place that only you know, and when that aggressor is in your home, at least you had a chance to reach the gun, it pretty much was better than just biting him with your teeth. That's the bottom line. So that's the next thing I would like to say. Arm yourself and also have access to that gun. That's why I say the best place to carry the gun, it is not on your purse. It is not in some safe. It is on you. I understand ladies have a different type of attires and different type of situation with their body type, but find a way that you can carry a gun on you every time till you come back inside the house. Don't forget that. It's never. And by the way,
today where I'm living, they did open a shooting range close to me.
Yeah.
And they're looking for instructors if anybody's interested. And I got a security system, so I feel a little safer. And nobody's tried to break in since.
Oh, I understand. Security system is a good start. At least, you can wake up if somebody's trying to break in. But the point is, if your door, let's say, even the strongest door you have, okay? Let's say a metal door, outdoor door. If you don't have a reinforced frame, you can kick that door out of the frame with 2 kicks, even with 1. Okay, that's number 1. Yes, the alarm will ring. Guess what? Meanwhile, that aggressor, if he really wants to get you, he doesn't even care about the alarm. If he's a psychopath, he will kick that door down, and in less than 5 seconds will be in your bedroom on top of you. That's the reality. So my first thing would say, I don't know if you live in an apartment that you are on the ground floor or not. You need to secure the entrances. It is more than just an alarm. The alarm is to give you the sign when somebody is in or is trying to break in. You need to be sure that the door must have at least a reinforced frame. Let me give you a little tip. You can go to Home Depot or any type of this type of hardware shop, and they sell reinforced frames for security. They're not very expensive. They are easy to apply to the original frame. They come with a 6-inch screws. They're about $70-$80. At that point, they will make your door a completely part of the wall. And if somebody's trying to kick it, it's not going to go down that easy anymore. And they give you the time to wake up and to have a plan. So that's the first thing I would do. Second thing, of course, you must have like some sort of when you can see through the door, a little system that you have at least an eye, you can see somebody knocking the door, and don't put a chain. The chain is a waste. Put a real lock, the little lock. Honestly, I would never open the door to anybody unless I know him. And even if you know me, you must be sometimes careful. Sometimes people can trick you using somebody.
Well, Luca, I can do that in my house. But what about women who are living in apartments?
No, I understand.
I mean, whatever their landlord does, they can't do anything.
Oh, listen, the type of modification in apartment is very easy. It's a $70-$80 a piece of metal. It's like a long piece of metal that you can add with some screws. They come with at the door, and you can remove it when you leave the rental or whatever. So it's not like a big changing of structure. So it's doable. I would suggest to do to anybody. Then also, if you can, buy also this jam at night, for example, for your bedroom. Okay, if you have a bedroom with a door, be sure that your bedroom door is not just the typical hollow door that normally you have in homes. Buy an exterior door, much stronger, and if you can, there are these jammers that they are little bit of jammer that you can put under the door, and put always one under the door. And there are also now the little jammer that, in case for $10-12, very inexpensive, you can find them online. If somebody's trying to push the door, the jammer will start to make a big noise like a siren, and you will wake up. That's very important, because when you sleep, I don't care how strong you are, how fast you are, and how many guns you have. If you're sleeping and somebody break into your home and you don't have a chance to see it coming, guess what? You're dead. You're gone. So that's the point. You got to think about these things. Now, very important, when you go to work, or even better, when you come back from work, especially if you have a regular job, like, let's say at night you work as a nurse or things like that, and avoid the pattern. Don't always use the same street. Don't always use the same type of routes. Change. If you have to change, even wait, do something, because somebody want to follow you. They know exactly where you are, at what time you are, every day of the week. You need to be make it more interesting, okay? And more important, follow your instinct. Do you have any questions? Anything I could try to help you in answering you?
Well, I did have the two questions about the charges, and I kind of looked it up and found the answer that, yes, they gave the lesser charges, so he wouldn't get anything anyways, or very little, as far as a sentence. And the other one, I felt like the DA's office was getting a payback to get rid of me. And I still do, and I think they couldn't do anything when he did it twice, and I was a witness for that lady that he did it, so that's when he got something.
Well,
but,
as I said,
like I said,
the police,
today,
they're not
today I'm going to go back to shooting.
Yeah.
This range that opened up near me, and the security system, and I feel safe around here.
All right.
No.
What type of gun did you shoot? Did you choose? Do you have any specific gun you like?
Oh, I don't know. I was doing just basically handguns, and then he did try a couple of rifles on me.
Yeah, but first thing
he got this one, and he said, "You're not going to be able to even hold this one." And I said, "Why?" He said, "This is what they use in the military." And he said,
All right.
"It's really heavy."
Let me stop you
so
1
I
second.
tried that one.
Let me stop you 1 second. I mean, I don't know this instructor, but I tell you, it doesn't sound very sharp in my opinion, because somebody, first of all, the first thing you need is a handgun. You're not going to carry around Pennsylvania rifle on your back. Okay, don't get me wrong. The rifle it would be the first thing I would choose if I had to face an aggressor. But the point, you're not going to carry a rifle for many reasons. More important, it's too big to carry concealed. Okay, so you need to find a handgun. That's the handgun is going eventually, if you have a chance, to even fight your way to the rifle if you have a rifle in the house. But regardless, you need to have a handgun that you will carry with you everywhere is allowed by the law in your state. That's what I would start with. A handgun that is comfortable for you, that you can manage the recoil, that fits your hand, and you like the caliber, and also you can practice. That's what I would start with. I wouldn't start to get you afraid with rifles that used by military. What does it mean that? Sorry, I don't even know why they waste your time with that stuff. They should waste.
I basically did the pistols, and then he said, "Let's just try this for something interesting," and it was just like a one-time thing.
All right.
But I mean,
my opinion,
I did get the pro marksman, and that's basically with a pistol, right?
You need now to find a handgun that is a choice between a revolver or a semi-automatic. Once you find a handgun and the caliber that you like, at that point you need to find qualified training for that gun. Starting with safety, and more important, starting then how to operate it safely, how to load, how to unload, you start from the basic, how to shoot at a target that is not going to move, because at the beginning you will learn the basic of marksmanship with a very simple static target, starting at 3, 5, 7, even 10 yards. And then once you got all this concept straight, at that point you can advance and say, okay, now I need to learn how to present the gun into a fight. That means the gun probably is going to be in your purse or maybe on your persona or your person, like for example on your holster, that you must train the presentation and many other things. But you got to find some real professional help. That's what I would say. And as I said, don't just stop the first gun they tell you. People say normally, oh, it's a woman, let's give her a revolver. No way. I believe that, that's not always accurate. You can have probably even easier type of managing handgun with a semi-automatic if you put a little bit of training. Okay, listen, we are out of time. I need to let you go. I give you 60 seconds, whatever you want to say, close the interview. The hour is gone. Wow.
Yeah, I would just like to tell all the women out there, with all the things that are going on around the world and even in our country against women, you need to get some protection, whether it's going to be a gun or self-defense or whatever, because, we are being attacked. And especially if you're white, if you're blonde, they seem to be going, and the Muslims, I think they go after Christian white blondes, but we're marked, and we need to start defending ourselves.
All right, very good. Thank you very much and for sharing this information and this sad experience, but at least I hope it can wake up other people out there, other ladies out there. All right, listen, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This is exactly the spirit of the show. If you have any story or experience to share, please feel free to contact me. Go to lovegunsfreedom.com. Send me an email. I'll be happy to hear. Now, to support the show, this is a different format. This is not a show that we talk about, let's say personalities or things like that. This is your show, our show. So, and we can talk about pretty much everything we want when it comes down to the topics that we know, love, guns, and freedom. Now, if you want to support the show, I need your help. Normally, I can go around asking for sponsors because the type of topics I bring here, they're kind of unique and sometimes controversial. You can go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com, see exactly the different things you can get to help the show. One of those, for example, Zanna Coffee, organic coffee, the best organic coffee you can find out, zannacoffee.com, or download any of my songs for 99 cents. And of course, if you are in the Mojave County area, I also offer CCW classes, concealed carry classes at azccw.us, and also handgun training classes. So, I forgot, the latest book just came out on Amazon, Perfectly Crazy, available right now all over the world. Do not go away. Ready for our number 3. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Ciao.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm.